Listen to this podcast now
on the Red Apple Podcast Network. The Leadership Thread with Dr. Peggy Polonis.
I'm Dr. Peggy Polonis. Join me on each episode where I unravel the story that shaped leaders, tracing the thread that led them where they are today. Because leadership isn't born in adulthood. And thank you once again for joining us on the Leadership Thread, education, ethics, and sustainability.
Download all of Red Apple Media's podcasts right now through your favorite podcast platform.
Listen, all you New Yorkers. Excuse me, taxi.
Okay, man, we're looking around.
This is the 77 WABC minicast.
All right, the government still partially shut down. It's a big partial, though, 78%. Pentagon and Homeland Security. We got FEMA issues across the country with the snow and the bad weather. This is a bad time for this, and we thought maybe it'd be over very, very quickly, but now it looks like at least through Tuesday. Mike Johnson Compton will be over tomorrow, my friend the speaker. Let's talk to one of his colleagues, guy that we love on this show, and one of the more respected members of Congress in our country, Jim Jordan. Jim, good morning, buddy. How are you?
I'm doing fine, Sid. Good to be with you, buddy.
Nice to have you back here. What a mess. I mean, 43 days, not that long ago. We're going to have the same issues coming up in 2 weeks, whether this is over tomorrow or Wednesday, whatever it may be. But it looks to me, and again, Jim, you know better than me, that once again it looks like, and excuse my French, Hakeem Jeffries is being a pain in the ass. That's why this thing is still going on.
Yeah, I think we'll get this passed today, but you're right. And then in 2 weeks, we have to deal with just the one bill. You know, typically we have 12 appropriation bills. We'll have to deal with the Homeland Security bill. I think the big problem is the Democrats and this whole sanctuary jurisdiction concept they have out there, and specifically what's called these detainers. So what'll happen, Sid, is a local law enforcement will arrest someone who's doing something bad, maybe selling drugs or whatever, doing something wrong, doing something criminal, and ICE will find out that this guy's actually here is illegally. And ICE will send what's called a detainer to the jail and say, hey, if you're going to let this individual out, if you're going to let him go, give us 48 hours heads up so we can come to the jail and arrest him. And instead what they do in these sanctuary jurisdictions is they say no. They just give them the finger and they say, no, we're going to release this guy to this. I've actually seen the forms. They stamp on the forms, release to the streets. And that means you have to send 6-7 agents out, maybe more, to arrest this guy on the streets, when you could have sent 1 or 2 agents to the jail and apprehended him there and taken care of the situation there. And when you release him to the streets, you jeopardize the safety of the law enforcement, safety of the public, and frankly, safety of the migrant. But that's how stupid the left is. And this is creating this environment out there that is just this powder keg where bad things happen, like with Miss Good and Mr. Preddy up in Minneapolis. But it all starts with the sanctuary jurisdiction concept and not complying with detainers, these official forms sent to local law enforcement, sent to these local jurisdictions. That to me is the biggest. If you fix that, I think you can solve a lot of this as we move forward.
We can, even though they are, obviously not for any spending, DHS, ICE, any of those things moving forward. Even with all that said, do you think we can fix a lot of it by this detainer problem?
I think this is the biggest problem, but it stems from this crazy idea of the left, the sanctuary jurisdiction. I think what ICE has to deal with right now, ICE has to they're getting doxxed, they're getting tracked, they're getting spit on, they're getting harassed, all while they're trying to do what? Enforce the law. That's all they're trying to do, is enforce the law. And in these sanctuary jurisdictions, you have them actually releasing bad guys. We had a situation in Denver when we had the Denver mayor. I remember questioning him last year in a hearing in Congress, where the form in Denver that was, as I said, stamped on their release to the streets. And I'm like, this is the problem. This is what sanctuary city, sanctuary jurisdiction, sanctuary state, this is what that actually means in practice. And you are actually jeopardizing the safety of everyone concerned, the public, the law enforcement, and in fact, the migrant.
What about Anna Paulina Luna? She seems to be dead set on this SAVE Act. How much of a problem can she possibly be here?
Well, the SAVE Act's a good piece of legislation. Here's another simple concept. Simple concept number one, comply with federal law, work with federal law enforcement, don't interfere with them. Simple concept number two is you should maybe have to show ID when you go vote and actually prove that you're a citizen. Shazam! This is like that's what she's trying to she's trying to accomplish. So we all agree with that. We passed this in the House Just that never made it to the Senate because of the 60 vote hurdle they got to overcome over there. So we understand what the motive is here. But we do want to get the government funded, and we do want to deal with this detainer issue. So we'll see how it all shakes out as we move forward here over the next 48 hours.
And Tom Tillis seems like he may pose a problem too, which he usually does, Jim, out of North Carolina. Of course, you're in the House, he's in the Senate. But, I mean, Tom Tillis, this guy, I'm not sure what he's doing. Can you tell me?
Well, some of these individuals who are no longer running for office seem to want to head down their own path, and so we'll see. What I know is President Trump, more than any president, certainly in our lifetime, Sid, has done more of what he said he would do than anyone. And I would say we make this job too complicated. It's pretty simple. What'd you tell the voters you were going to do when you put your name on the ballot and you ran for the office? If they elect you, go do what you said. And President Trump has done that better than anybody. And so I appreciate his leadership, appreciate what he's done. Senator Tillis from time to time has some disagreements with that. But look, we're going to work through all this, and we're going to keep delivering for the American people, just like we did with the big, beautiful bill. I always say, Sid, the big, beautiful bill was a good piece of legislation. And you know that because the left hated it. And the left hated it because it actually empowered families by letting them keep more of their money, by securing the border, by for the first time putting a school choice component in our tax code that empowers moms and dads. And the work requirement for able-bodied people in welfare is good for all families. That's why the left hated it. But we'll just keep doing the things we're supposed to do, and we'll work through all this. And I think we're going to defy history a little bit here and have a good midterm and keep Republicans in control of the House.
Yeah, one more on this. Chris Murphy out of Connecticut. I'm not a big fan. Sorry, Jim. He's demanding that Fed agents unmask, wear body cameras. What are your thoughts on what Murphy wants to see?
Again, the central issue is the one I described. You give us, we actually can deal with that. You get these local jurisdictions to actually work with ICE, work with federal law enforcement, and not let bad guys to the street when and force us to go out and arrest them on the street. ICE agents do that. You do that, then we can talk about other things. But I'm a little nervous about the mask thing because again, these agents have been specifically targeted. Right. So you got to be concerned about that. I don't really like federal law enforcement having to wear masks, but I understand why they're doing it because of the doxing and the tracking and the harassing and the spitting on, the attack with a shovel. Remember that one situation a couple of weeks ago up in Minneapolis? One of the agents got attacked with a guy with a shovel, for goodness sake. So we sort of get that. Maybe you can put the body cams on. I think that makes some sense. That I think that'd be a worthwhile. Okay, body cams will go on. But change this detainer sanctuary jurisdiction concept and approach that you're doing. That could be something that could be worked out. But all those things I think are things we can talk about as we move forward.
By the way, Pennsylvania Senator, maybe the most common sense, maybe the only common sense Democrat left in our country today, John Fetterman, agrees with you about unmasking these agents. He says that's a very, very bad idea. Last one, you brought up midterms. I had Trump on the show Tuesday, Jim, literally 6 days ago. And he didn't sound all that confident. Now, he did talk about history, when the Republican president is there and, the whole history. But what exactly do we have to do above and beyond the economy, right? Get down inflation closer to 2 than 2.7. That'll help us, hopefully interest rates, all those types of things. Above and beyond that, what do we have to do to ensure we keep the House?
Well, I think elections now are pretty basic. You tell the voters what you've done for them. Like, here's what we said we would do. You put us in office. We've accomplished this. We've cut your taxes. We've secured the border. You remind them of those things. And then most importantly, I think today, you have to remind the voters that the left is crazy. The left is crazy. Every single position the left takes. And you have to remind them, like, okay, if you put them back in power, you're not going to have a border. And that's what they're about. They're going to try to open the border up again. You put them back in power, they're going to raise your taxes. You put them back in power, they're going to spend like crazy. You put them back in power, they're going to advocate for men and women's sports. You can just rattle off. You put them back in power. They're the party that wants to abolish ICE. They're the party that wants to defund the police. So you have to remind the voters how crazy the left is. I say all the time, not all Democrats are crazy, but the left that controls their party is. And you can look at every single issue. The left has lost their mind. So you have to remind voters of that so that you set up the proper choice. Elections are about choices. Elections are about the contrast. Here's what one side wants. Here's what the other side wants. Which do you think is better for your family, for your community, for your small business, for your country? And that's what elections are about today.
Every week, the Payne family cuts straight to the real financial story.
The one question, Bob, everyone's asking is, are we in an artificial intelligence bubble? You've been through boom and busts. What do you think?
No hype, no myths. Just what actually matters to your money.
Does feel very similar to what we experienced in the 90s. Where are we, though? Are we in 1995, 1997, 1999?
Listen to the Pain Points of Wealth on the Red Apple Podcast Network.